Hey everybody, this is Perch. Got a viewer question here. Actually, do you like hearing viewer questions and answers? Is that helpful? I've several of you have said they like it. Other people are saying they don't like it. I say it's both. No, I'm just kidding. What is the true answer here? I think you don't want to hear you just riff off my own shit all the time. So I like answering questions. It's nice, and we kind of do that. I have to start, like, I get questions sometimes that I've already answered. And so I don't answer those, and I feel bad about it. I'm like, well, I'm not going to answer that because I already answered it. And if I was really a good, clever guy, I would, provide links to the videos where the question was answered. Be like, hey, I'm not going to answer your mail, but here's where the answer was. But I'm lazy, and I don't do that. So at least I know my flaws. Anyway, let's get to this mail. It says, hey, Perch, how you doing? I'm doing fine. Got a couple questions for you. First off, we just had the midterm elections and the polls were way off. Why do you think the polls were so far off? Okay, so if you are not in the US or weren't paying attention, the polling suggested a quote-unquote red wave, and then the red wave didn't really come. In fact, it's not that it didn't really come, it didn't come. Other than DeSantis kicking ass in Florida, the Republicans, by and large, is a highly competitive race, which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense. I mean, it probably was the obvious answer. Yes, I know the historical bit about, the party in power typically loses seats and everything else, but the country is highly, highly polarized. And everything was based around how polarized and how split everything was. So it's not terribly surprising to me that in a world where everybody's opinion is super split, we got the results that we did. So why was the polling off, though? Well, I think simple. Gen Z doesn't answer polls. To be more complex about it, a lot of the races, when they tipped the way they did, if you look at the demographics, it was the younger audience. It was Gen Z, basically, who voted kind of in the margins that made it more competitive. In other words, voted more Democrat. So we also, at least, know from the polling that Gen Z was underrepresented in the polling, both because they typically believe that Gen Z doesn't vote. That's one problem. And also, I think the polling agencies don't really know how to poll for Gen Z, the younger audience. I think they have systems that are designed for older people, and that's where we got. But anyway, that's my theory. I think that the polling was so far off because it didn't count a major voting block because it doesn't really know how to. So there you have it. Anyway, to the rest of the mail. My real question, though, is what would be the one surefire thing that Marvel and DC could do to bring readers back? There's a lot of frustration with Marvel and DC Comics. What would be one move, in your opinion, they could make that is guaranteed to bring a lot of readers back and generate sales? One move, huh? That's the end of the mail. So one move. I think this. And this is going to be a weird one. I don't know if this is the one move, but this is at least, I think, a major one. And this is unlike something you've heard from me before. This one's very achievable. It does require that the comics being written are good. So, you can make your own joke there, but it does require that there's, that we're starting with a good base. So let's assume for the moment that we've got good stories being told, and creators are in place to create comics that are marketable and good. Okay, so let's assume that has been done. I don't think that alone just generates sales. I think you got to do a little bit more than that. So what is that one thing? So this is what I think is really important. I think comics need to figure out a way to pitch the comic. And when I say pitch the comic, I don't mean editors getting pitches from creators. Pitches for bitches. No, I think it is actually the buyer, meaning the comic shop in this case, and then the comic shop in this B2B2C business, where the comic shop is going to sell, buy the comics from the publisher, and then they're going to turn around and sell them to the customer. In that world, what is this comic? The pitch, the solicitation text, here's the story you're going to get. That in that element, that world, the pitch needs to be good. And what I mean by that is it's got to be well understood. It's got to just make sense. It's got to be something straightforward enough that fans and readers can look at that and go, okay, yeah, I get it. Okay, this is a comic that it's got to be a good, solid story that people can sink their teeth into. It's got to be described and marketed well. I'm not saying the key to all comic sales is good marketing, but I'm saying that comics need to be able to put their best foot forward. In this case, what I mean is like the comics need to be able to say, hey, we've got a great story for you. Here is that story. It's going to feature this. It's going to be, it needs to be compelling. A good, solid, understandable, compelling pitch would go a long way. Even if the content didn't change too much, I know several of you will disagree, but even if the stories were not significantly different, even if by and large the stories that are being told in the comics are the same stories or not terribly different, whatever, even if they're about the same, the pitch is written in a way that feels exciting and new and fresh and like you need to go buy something. And the reason I say that, the reason why I'm stuck here is that if you look at the solicitations, and I'm going to do that next time the solicitations come out, read the text that are promoting these books. And remember, this is the direct promotion to the comic shop that is supposed to order these things in advance of them being bought by customers. So it really has to be an extra good pitch because the comic shop is taking a risk in buying this stuff. It's not returnable. So the comic shop is taking a big risk in the comic. Does the comic sound the best, and is the art that's shown as a cover art really compelling and interesting? Is the product that's in the catalog such that you got to buy it because it looks too engaging, too interesting, too powerful to pass up? When you read the solicitation text, not only do you not get compelling things, not only does the comic often sound kind of uninteresting and dull, the way it's even written is almost designed to prank you. It feels like a joke where the person writing it doesn't respect the reader, doesn't respect the buyer, it doesn't even really want you to buy it. And if you think I'm kind of exaggerating here, you could read solicitation text that is like, what's going to happen in this comic? We don't know, but we're sure it will be exciting. That's it. That's what they'll write. And just that. And you look at stuff like that and you go, this isn't going to sell a single goddamn book at all. Nobody's going to dive into this. Are you kidding me? And it's true. Nobody will. If you look at how DC, and in many cases, both DC and Marvel and Image and a lot of the indies, they write solicitation text as if it's for their friend on Twitter, as opposed to actually sell a book in the comic shop. It is not written in a way that encourages sales, encourages anybody to think that something compelling and interesting is going on. It's boring. You read that stuff and you're like, the person who wrote this does not even want to sell comics. Doesn't believe that the comic books are that interesting or compelling. It's bizarre. I mean, I'll give you an example. Okay, so I'm looking right now at the Marvel January 2023 solicitations. Now, remember, your goal here is to get a bunch of people super hyped about the book. You're trying to put the best possible bait you can on the hook. And so to do so, you probably want to, provide some tension, give a feeling like something major is going to happen in this comic. It is a cliche, but like nothing will ever be the same again after this comic. That's the vibe you want to get, okay? So I'm going to read you some solicitation text from Marvel. Here's Amazing Spider-Man 18. I'm just scrolled and I haven't even, as if the normal run-of-the-mill demons of Limbo weren't enough, Spider-Man finds himself facing a small army of demonized versions of his rogues gallery. Can he make it home to stop the Goblin Queen? That's the text. Is that interesting to you? Believe it or not, that's one of the better ones we're going to find here. Let's go down a little bit. Here we got Scarlet Witch, number 1. Okay. Wanda Maximoff is familiar with hitting rock bottom, and now that she's finally found peace, she's pledged all her power to help others who are languishing at their lowest. But when a woman falls through Wanda's door with a terrifying story of a town gone mad, the Scarlet Witch will have to muster her wits and chaos magic to deal with an insidious threat. That is somebody who bought a thesaurus or a word of the day calendar. No, I understand that muster her wits is not genius level wording, but come the fuck on. That's not going to sell anything. Okay, let's take another one. Here's Photon, Monica Rambeau, one of my favorite characters. Photon 205. How's this solicitation? Have you ever had one of those days where everything is going wrong? Like you've been somehow sucked across the infinite cosmos into the wrong corner of fragmented space-time, and you run into someone from your past you really can't stand, like, say, someone from beyond. If so, maybe you'll have some good advice for Monica. Why? Why would you write it that way? What is wrong with you? That is terrible. Here is the giant X-Men event, the Age of Sinister, Sins of Sinister. Okay, so this is a big X-Men event. We want to sell lots of things, and here's how they're doing Sins of Sinister number 1, something they want to make a lot of money off of, right? It's the end of the world as we know it, and at least Sinister feels fine. For now. Can that last? Especially when we discover that he really is his own worst enemy. What? Why are you whipping out old REM tracks? I like that song too. That is not how you advertise a comic. You fucking moron. Anyway, you go through this, and again, this isn't going to change the world of comics, but you shouldn't describe them this way. They sound terrible. You're telling me you can't find a junior marketing intern to kind of attempt to actually throw out a solicitation? I'm going to do one more. But you could do this all day long. Go to solicitation text, read what's there, and then you tell me, why are comic sales low? Because this stuff sounds awful. Awful. And part of marketing is sometimes taking something that isn't the best and figuring out ways to promote it, to make it look better than it is. That's kind of the very definition of marketing. How do you put the best possible spin on something in order to generate interest? So it's not a unreasonable, weird, bad demand to say comics should market better. That's kind of the job. And while some of these comics, maybe the interiors are not good, your goal in marketing is to try and put your best possible foot forward to get those sales. So we're going to do one more. Here's one that's going to hurt because I like Jim Zub. So this is Murder World Wolverine number 1. Okay, Jim Zub's writing this book. I like his Thunderbolts. I'm up for arcade killing people in Murder World. It could be fun. Let's see how they're going to promote Jim Zub, Wolverine, and Murder World. Okay, you ready? Wolverine is the best he is at what he does. And what he does is hunt victims in Murder World. Our contestants are about to feel the snicked. Will anyone survive arcade's deadliest game? Oh, no, there's a little bit more. Arcade and his schemes have been a punchline in the past, but this game is no joke. Each issue ups the ante and will keep readers guessing right until the end. Don't miss it. In fairness, it's probably the most, where there's at least some hint of excitement in the comic of all the ones that we've listed. Here's, I lied. I'm going to do one more. Tiger Division number 3, because Tiger Division, Marvel's desperately trying to, they're trying to get that limited series over, introduce, Pan-Asian characters. Here we go. So there's a comic book they really want to get sold. How is this promoted? Will Tiger Division have what it takes to stop him before it's too late? Meanwhile, Taguchi discovers a startling truth about his origin. Okay, this isn't going to sell shit. Anyway, so that's my answer to you. the solicitation text, I know it's small, and I know a lot of you are going to be like, it won't matter if the comic sucks inside. Yeah, the comic content needs to be good, but you need to promote these comics like you actually want to sell them. If you do that, that is a huge step forward. You will get some additional sales, and life is going to get better. So give that a try, okay? I think that would be at least a reasonable thing to do. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. What's the one thing you would do? I'm sure there's others. I'm sure there's better ideas, but that one's irking me today. So thanks for listening.